This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim pass the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're here for a short segment of the shoot around. Thank you for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, the New York Knicks kids are surging right now. A lot of good things happening. The kids are surging. We're going to talk about it. I got Big Bubba in the building. I got Uncle Fulio in the building. I'm going to break down with these guys. Quentin Grimes, Obi Toppin, Mitchell Robinson, RJ Barrett. These guys are surging. And it's exciting because it's been a very long time since the Knicks had this many young players coming into their own. So let's go ahead and get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Uncle Fulio, what's popping, man? You're muted, bro. You're muted.
Sim, what's going on? Isaiah, what's up? And BK fam out there, the chat, everybody. Good to hear from y'all. The kids are definitely surging. Quentin Grimes is becoming a really, really nice player. I think he's going to be a really solid part of our rotation for a very long time. Tibbs likes him. Tibbs said it, on record that he really likes Quentin Grimes, and he really doesn't want him. And I think Tibbs is part of the reason why Grimes won't be traded at this deadline or for the near future. So I'm very excited about that. And like I said, just because the team isn't doing so well as far as the wins and loss category doesn't stop our kids from developing and doesn't stop that process. So I'm very happy about that. And we'll see how it looks moving forward.
Yeah, we'll see what's up. Big Bubba, what's going on, man?
Nah, I ain't talking to y'all too.
Come on, man. We got time to play games. What's going on, bro?
Okay, I'm sorry. Hey, man, first of all, what's going on, Jaw, Sim? What's popping, man? Listen, man, these young kids are doing their thing. Grimes, of course, is playing excellent. Obi's, getting his minutes. RJ, of course, we know what RJ's doing. These guys are doing good things, man, and I'm on it. Let's get it, man. I think this youth movement is on and popping.
You said the youth movement is on and popping, and that's a major question. We're gonna get to that, but we're definitely gonna get to that. But let's begin. Well, I guess let's do a quick recap of the game. No, we'll do a recap of the game afterwards. Let's talk about Mitchell Robinson. All right, because Mitchell Robinson, he just broke the block record. Well, he didn't break the block record for the New York Knicks, but he moved up the charts in the blocks record. Mitchell Robinson is now 5th on the all-time list for the New York Knicks. And he's actually, Mitchell Robinson is making himself indispensable out there on the floor. Indispensable. Right now, Mitchell Robinson has 392 blocks. All right, he just passed Marcus Camby, who had 390. He's on the tail of Kurt Thomas, who has 479 blocks. You got Marvin Webster, who's got 542. Bill Cartwright, 543. If I was Marvin Webster, I'd have found a way. Oh, no. Marvin Webster came before Bill Cartwright. Never mind. Then you got Patrick Ewing, of course, who's got 2,758. Played 15 seasons with the New York Knicks. Mitchell Robinson, what's this, his 4th season with the Knicks?
Yeah.
Right, 4th season with the Knicks, 392 blocks. I don't know if he's on pace to catch Patrick Ewing. He'd have to go another, even if he goes another, if he plays his entire career with the Knicks and he goes another 12 seasons, if he's at the same pace, 392, I'm not sure. I don't know. I'd have to do the math. I'm not sure if that gets him up to 2,758. But either way, to move past Marcus Camby, I think he'll be on pace to get that second spot by another 2 seasons, probably. He'll be number 2. You know what I mean? What's your thoughts right now on Mitchell Robinson and what he's doing for the New York Knicks, man? Because over the last 15 games, he's averaging a double-double for the Knicks. 10 points, 10 rebounds over the last 15 games. That's Mitchell Robinson. And we've seen a couple of games, man, where he's really been a beast out there. Dominating the glass. Grabbing offensive rebounds. Josh, what's your take? Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, Sam, it's hard to really dispute. Mitchell Robinson's been playing really well. He's been a really important piece in parts of what we're doing this season. I still have my reservations about the entire offense as a whole with him out there on the floor. However, it's hard to deny what Mitchell Robinson's been doing on the glass. Whenever, we're not making our shots, Mitchell Robinson is just cleanup. Mr. Cleanup, everything offensive rebounds down there, he's going to go ahead and grab them and basically outwork and pretty much, I want to say, dominate, basically, opposing centers down there, centers and forwards. So can't dispute what Mitchell Robinson's been doing. I still have my questions about the offense as a whole, like I said. And let's see if the Knicks are going to offer him an extension. I think, if he doesn't get moved, let's see if we can go ahead and lock him up for the long term. If not, it's going to be he's definitely, trying to earn his money out there in the open market. So let's see if we're going to be able to retain him and keep him around for the long term. But it's hard to speak what Mitchell Robinson's doing out there.
Yeah, no doubt. Big Bubba.
Yeah, Mitchell Robinson, what more can you say this season? I feel like he started off a little slow, and he was trying to get adjusted to the weight that he added on, the muscle that he put on. But again, man, this kid is already 5th in blocks. He's only 23 years old. He won't be 24 until April. Right now, it's just the sky's the limit for this kid. I think I feel like a little bit with the front office, we're trying to maybe push Mitchell Robinson out a little bit because they want Stroop short because they have Noel coming back. But clearly, we see what's going on with him and his constant day-to-day injuries. So, listen, man, Mitchell Robinson is priming himself and his 15th agent to get paid this season. So, hey, man, there's a good problem to have for the Knicks.
I don't know if, were they pushing him out? I don't know if they were pushing him out. I wouldn't use those terms. I didn't mean to say pushing out something, but when you draft Jericho Sims and you sign Noel's back, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like the front office kind of figured like, hey, if Mitch doesn't have a good season, we could either try to flip him or we'll be comfortable letting him walk. I can understand. I feel like it's more just about setting yourself up or being prepared for whatever might happen going forward instead of, we're pushing them out or, anything like that. I think it's just kind of like, listen, we're going to sign Nerlens Noel. We're going to draft Jericho Sims. If for whatever reason it doesn't work out with Mitchell Robinson, we feel like we have good backups, or a good backup plan. I think it's more about that. And then, of course, it's on Mitchell Robinson to perform, and then him and the New York Knicks to work out whatever kind of deal that he's going to get. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you want to call that pushing him out or not. I think it's just more about the team preparing themselves for the future.
Yeah, no. I ain't gonna lie to you. Now it's looking like Noel's gonna be out.
Nerlens Noel can't stay on the floor for anything. But when he's out there, here's the thing: when Nerlens Noel is out there, there's no doubt that he's a really, really good defender. He makes the defense a lot better when he's out there on the floor, right?
No,
because you got Mitchell Robinson in the starting lineup, and then you got Nerlens Noel coming off the bench. And if Mitchell Robinson gets in foul trouble or whatever happens, you got Nerlens Noel that can come in and do a lot of the same things besides catch alley-oop dunks. But defensively, he can do a lot of the same things.
And and so I'm not gonna lie to you. I think that's an underrated. I know we're not really talking about the Knicks as a whole, but I will say this real quick. I thought that was a very underrated thing that happened to us this season. Was Noel's getting injured every other game and not being consistent, because I really was hoping for that center position to be pretty much locked up this season, where I wasn't going to be worrying about the minutes and the plays from them too. But things happen, injuries happen, so
Yeah. What do you think he's going to be worth, Mitchell Robinson, this summer? Because the Knicks got to make a decision. We don't know what that decision is going to be, but they got to make one.
I'm honestly, Sam, I'm gonna do what the Kings did with what's his name?
With Sean Holmes.
What's that? Yeah, I think he got a 4-year 55.
Okay, I mean that's not bad. That's a
Yeah,
decent.
and to be honest with you, I think that's really good for Mitchell because I think Holmes has been better than Mitchell. To be honest with you, he's been more consistent. I'll give him.
I don't think he's better than Mitchell Robinson.
You don't think so?
I don't.
I mean, I mean, I don't really fully follow him because he's on the Kings. I just don't pay attention to the Kings that much. But from what I do see, from what I do hear, he is pretty good, and he does anchor the position pretty well.
Yeah,
but
I don't think he's better. I don't think he has as much upside. He's 6'10". He can rebound the basketball. He can get up. He can do those kind of things. But I just feel like Mitchell Robinson, with his length, he's a better defender in my opinion. I don't know. Especially from what I've seen from Mitchell Robinson over the past few games. He's been able to really dominate on the glass. The one thing I'm looking forward to with Mitchell Robinson is to see him dominate when he's not playing a team like the Kings, like Memphis. And you got Steven Adams out there, a big, strong guy. I want to see him dominate on the glass then.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I know one thing. I'm not going nothing past $60 million with Mitch.
What about per season? What about per season?
The most I'll give Mitch per season, like 14. That's the max I would give him, the max.
That's fair. And I agree with that. I think Mitchell Robinson is definitely worth that. But I think probably what's going to happen is Mitch is probably going to hold out and see what DeAndre Ayton is going to get. I think they were drafted in the same year. Obviously, they play the same position. I think for that center market, for those that are available this offseason, I think DeAndre Ayton is pretty much going to set that market, and I think that's pretty much what he's going to hold out for, with or without the Knicks offering him that extension. But I agree with you, Isaiah. I wouldn't go anything north of $14 million per year. I think 4 years, $46 to $50 million. It's pretty much, 50. No, anything north of $50 million is too much in my opinion. Yeah. But I think, still he's just very one-dimensional in my opinion. I like what he does. I like what he brings on the floor. But I wouldn't go anything north of that for me.
Yeah. Also, too, I wouldn't, and Josh, I wouldn't use that. I see what you said, but I wouldn't use DeAndre Ayton as a bar for centers because DeAndre Ayton's more on the Embiid, Jared Allen, Joker side versus, Mitch is more on the DeAndre Jordan, those running big man kind of side because DeAndre Ayton's probably going to get close to I think the minimum he's going to get is $100 million, the minimum.
Yeah, so the reason why I mentioned DeAndre Ayton is because they were drafted in the same year and they played the same position. So from a business standpoint, I get what you're saying about the playing style or whatever, but I'm thinking about the business side of it, and I think this is what the agent and Knicks front office is going to talk about. DeAndre Ayton is going to be the bar that's going to be set, right? Whatever DeAndre Ayton is going to command out there, Mitchell Robinson's going to compare his numbers to DeAndre Ayton's, despite being a little bit different here and there. And then I think that's where, the negotiations kind of start. I see what you're saying, though, but I think as far as the business side of it, that's pretty much what's going to be the market and how he's going to try to, his client, whoever his agent is now, is going to try to market him and get him paid. So,
yeah, I get what you're saying about not really comparing him to DeAndre Ayton and saying he's going to get DeAndre Ayton money, but looking at it and say, okay, DeAndre Ayton made this. Now, what am I worth? You know what I mean? Now, you still might. It's hard to say. It's hard to say how that's going to go. But Mitchell Robinson's playing, really, really good basketball. But I seen a conversation that you had, Josh, about even though he's playing good basketball, that you don't think the Knicks offense works its best with Mitchell Robinson in the game.
Correct.
Right. Do you recommend the Knicks taking him out of the lineup since you said that?
Well, personally, I think the perfect scenario for the Knicks at this point is either you got to move Randall, right, which is, I think harder to move than Mitch at this point, or, try to get something back for Mitch. And I mean, like, in regards to a stretch five. Because I think the Knicks offense, works better if you got a guy at the center position who can stretch the floor, or a guy who you can throw the ball down in the post and have him go out and create his own shot. And Mitchell Robinson is just not that. Right. So I think, the Knicks have to make a decision. And I think right now, based on the way the contracts are set up, the Knicks are more likely to keep Randle and have Randle still be, the focal point, one of the focal points of their offense. And I think by having Mitchell Robinson out there, it kind of hinders that. And I think that's pretty much the biggest reason why you see the Knicks offense still being one of the bottom, worst offenses in the league. Because, if they're not making their shots, they can't get anything inside. They don't have anybody to really penetrate and get down there and score inside, because you have a guy, Mitchell Robinson, who can't do anything outside of the paint, right? And again, it's not knocking Mitchell Robinson, because if you have Mitch in a situation where, you have a stretch four, so to speak, right? A guy that can be able to knock down his outside shots, Mitchell Robinson's perfect. But Randle, as much people hate, Randle for not going inside, I think having a guy like Mitch there kind of hinders that process and hinders them. I just don't think they fit well together. That's basically what I'm trying to say. I like what Mitch gives us, but Randle is still a focal point of the offense. And if I had to choose one, I would go with, Randle, because we've run a lot of our offense through him. It's very difficult to replace that piece as opposed to a center who is, a really good rebounder, really good defender, but really can't do anything else outside of that.
But you know what, though, John? I will say this, though, because the stretch five thing, to me, I'm going to be real. I don't think the offense is hindered when Mitch is in the game. I think it's a little bit better personally, because of, again, right, of the rebounding. Because when you ask for a stretch five, right, Josh, you're talking about a guy that's going to be shooting threes or mid-range shots, right?
I'm talking about a guy that's going to be a threat from the outside that kind of spreads the floor a little bit to open up those lanes to the basket. When you look at the Knicks right now, and even last season, like the Knicks were knocking down their shots last season. That's why I keep going back and forth with you about, the shot making. Like they were making their shots last season, so everything kind of, seemed like it worked. This season, they try to depend on their jump shots, and it's been very inconsistent. So when you have that case where you can't do anything else outside of knockdown shots, it's going to come to a time when you're not going to hit those shots. You got to be able to do something different. And the floor just seems so compressed, and just, the spacing just seems off. And again, I don't want to seem like I'm disrespecting Mitchell Robinson and what he could do on the floor. I'm just saying the pieces collectively don't fit when Mitchell Robinson's on the floor. Look at the Knicks' offensive numbers this season. I mean, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying about Mitch, but offensively, the Knicks are still not a good team.
Yeah, but that's also, to me, I think that's also more on Randle. Because let's call it a spade. Right now, their shooting is horrible. Randle and even RJ, even though RJ has better shots, but overall the shooting has been horrible. So for those guys, and Evan Fournier is decent. Kemba Walker, I don't know. Kemba Walker, it's just bad all around. So when you ask for a stretch five, you're taking away more of the rebounding that we're not even, to me, if you do that, then you're asking Randle and RJ and Kemba and Fournier to be better rebounding guards.
Well,
RJ and Randle, I'm not really worried about, but you're asking Kim and all these guys because you're taking the center out the paint, so you got to ask these guys to step up to be rebounding more.
Well, you're taking away, you're possibly taking away some offensive rebounding. Possibly.
Absolutely.
I'm going to say possibly, but I do believe that RJ is a good rebounder as well. So if you have a center that's out on the perimeter, you still got to have guys crash the boards. You know what I mean? But I do, I think we need a stretch five on this team. There's no doubt. I don't think you should have two centers that mimic each other like Mitchell Robinson and Nerlens Noel. I understand the need and the want to be able to protect the rim, but I feel like we've got to have at least one stretch five on this team, right? So that, okay, even if Mitchell Robinson is your starter, you can bring in a stretch five when it's not working. You know what I'm saying? Or if you want to have a different look or you want to spread the floor differently, I do think that would be really beneficial for this team. I don't know how the Knicks go about doing that. Right now with the way that Mitchell Robinson is playing, I don't know that, right now he dominates when he's playing with people that are, kind of around his level. When you get with people who's been in the league a little bit and on a higher level, he doesn't dominate, and maybe he's not expected to right now. But in a couple of years, take 3 years, Mitchell Robinson might be the dominant center in the league. Let's just say he has the potential to be.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
How so though, Sam? I see that's the thing. I don't see that.
I'm not talking about scoring. I'm talking inside, dominating inside as far as rebounding, offensive rebounding, defensive rebounding, blocking shots. I'm talking about.
I think he's doing that now, though, Sam.
I don't know if he's dominant. I don't know if he's dominant though, but I think he has the potential.
He could be a DeAndre
really
Jordan,
dominant in those categories. In those categories, I'm not talking scoring. I'm talking those categories. Could be a dominant center.
I see him like in his prime because, again, right, George, we got to remember, right? We have to remember this kid came in raw.
Oh, yeah.
I hate, and I'm not saying you, Joe, but I hate when people be like, when somebody gets drafted, be like, this kid's raw. It's gonna take him 3 years just to be on some levels of certain players that are gonna get drafted that year. He's raw. And let's be real, we got Mitch when he was 19 or something like that. The kid was
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, the kid literally went from high school to NBA, basically. High school to NBA, raw as hell. And see where he's coming now. He's only still 23 years old. I mean, listen, and let's be also, we got to also put a lot of things in the factors. We haven't had stability.
You are an electric vehicle. Electricity power.
We haven't had stability here. So we just got to also remember that too, that there's no stability with some of these players. Certain players are cool with that, certain others, and I'm not making excuse for Mitch because there's still a lot of things Mitch does that it still annoys me. But we got to remember, man, this kid is only 23 years old and he's still doing good, and he's raw. So, I mean, he's not.
I agree with you 100%. There's no doubt in my mind Mitchell Robinson has developed not just physically but also mentally. He's also matured on the floor. There's no doubt in my mind. But again, I just go back to the fit as far as us scoring the basketball offensively. We don't have the type of shooters or the level of shooters where, it's just lights out. That you're gonna depend on us to shoot lights out every single night, right? North of 40, percent or what have you, right? And I think that because we're so jump shot dependent, that's not going to happen every single night. And I think that's what limits our offense. When you have the team go out there with Mitchell Robinson in the paint, the lanes are not open, right? We don't have anybody that can really break that man down and get to the paint, right? And it's a lot of it, the potential that we do have is kind of taken up with Mitchell Robinson being there. Look at the Atlanta series, right? In the Atlanta series, Atlanta had the perfect game plan how to defend the Knicks. And I get Mitchell wasn't there, but you had a guy like Nerlens who was in a similar kind of skill set offensively, right? They would just have their Nerlens Noel's man come over and shadow Julius Randle, take away all the paints, the paint presence or our ability to get to the paint, and we depended on jump shots, and we just were cold. So I think that's pretty much, if you have Mitchell Robinson there next to Randle, I think that's the issue for me. I like Mitch, but I just see that.
But what is it?
Let's move on from Mitch because we got a lot to get to, not a whole lot of time. We all know, there's something there about having a stretch five and the way that you can get to the cup. I also think, the players we got need to knock down their outside shots because that would also help Mitchell Robinson, to have some space inside to, catch some oops and do those type of things. You know what I mean? So, it has to work together.
Agreed.
It definitely has to work together. Big shout out to, let me get to it. I think I missed the super chat a little bit earlier. See if I can find it. I'll get to it. As soon as I get to it, I think it was 1975. It was someone who had a comment about Mitchell Robinson. I'll circle back to it. I want to talk about Quentin Grimes, right? Because Quentin Grimes, he's in a rotation, man, and it doesn't seem like Quentin Grimes is going to be coming out of that rotation. You know what I mean? And rightfully so. He deserves to be in the rotation. This kid is playing good basketball. He plays defense. People wonder why Cam Reddish ain't getting no playing time. And you can look right to Quentin Grimes. And you know why he's not getting it, because Tom Thibodeau really does like what Quentin Grimes brings to the basketball game. I want to listen to Quentin Grimes a little bit. Talk about his experience so far as a rookie. Everyone says that Tom Thibodeau doesn't play rookies. Quentin Grimes is playing. So we'll take a listen to Quentin Grimes and, how he feels about, his playing time so far. This is Quentin Grimes, ladies and gentlemen. This is from last night's game.
Go ahead, guys. I got it in the walk.
Julius was just in here talking about how good of a player he thinks you are. What's that mean for you as a rookie, just to kind of hear that from one of the top guys on your team?
Yeah, definitely like confidence boosters. You know, he's our leader, he's our best player, and for kind of a guy to just I guess acknowledge my work ethic, just what I've been doing, just trying to just come in and be better every day. It's definitely gonna help me a lot just for my confidence when I'm out there on the court with him for sure.
You seem to be playing at, like, you talk about your confidence. You seem to be playing at a very confident level. Tibbs has, specifically defensively, Tibbs has you guarding like top-notch guys. What's your mentality, having never guarded a lot of these guys before?
Yeah, just not knowing, like you said, like not knowing who I'm guarding. You got to really kind of just be in tune with the scouting report, read up on the guys that I've never really guarded in my life, to know what their tendencies are. So I really just trying to take every matchup personal, because it's my time to go out there, kind of prove the coach, and just kind of just show them everything that I'm capable of defensively and offensively as well.
How that move in the fourth quarter, Halliburton off the dribble on the layup.
Yeah.
What's that out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting comfortable with every game. I feel like every game, I just feel like I get to show more what I can do offensively, just getting the more freedom from Tibbs. You know, make a mistake, he has a lot of trust in me to lead me in there and kind of just like work through it and figure that out, because he knows I'm not gonna possibly make the same mistake twice. So I feel like that's also a confidence booster when he leads you in the game after you make a mistake. So I feel like every time I step on the court, I get more and more confident with my game.
When you're facing some of these teams for the first time, how much work is done ahead of it? I know they talk about practice, that you take practice hard, but how much film work do you have to do to learn these guys?
Yeah, like you said, we have a game every other day, so like you got to just lock in. Yesterday on Sacramento, go through what they like to run. Then this morning, walk through, kind of go over the matchups, who's guarding who, their tendencies. So you kind of really got to lock in, because it's a short turnaround with every game in the NBA. So you got to just lock in every time you go to practice, really.
Is this what you expected? I mean, I know you came in saying you're going to earn time and you're going to do the work, and the work is going to get you the minutes and all that, but is this kind of what you saw for yourself in your first season?
I think I did, honestly. I feel like, just like you said, just like every time I go in the gym late nights, just practice, you got to kind of assert yourself every time you're on there and practice. We don't practice a lot, so every time I get the opportunity we go up and down, I want to pick up full court. I want to make sure I'm guarding whoever the blue team's best player. It might be RJ, it might be Evan, just trying to just assert myself every time I step in that facility, really.
Is there any part of your game where you feel like, okay, I'm more ready in this area than I thought I was going to be? And is there any part of your game where you think, okay, I need more work in this area?
I think most readiness, like you said, like everybody knows my shooting and defense. I feel like I hang my hat on that for sure every time I step on the court, and I feel like just get more comfortable with the ball in my hands. I feel like today I showed that a little bit in the fourth, just get more comfortable making reads. Just every time I step out there in practice on the court before practice, just get more comfortable making pick and roll reads, finding the open man. I think that's kind of the next step for me this season as we keep progressing through these games.
Tibbs was talking about how you treat practices like they're games. Where's that come from?
It really comes from my dad. My dad, he grew up playing basketball, played at Santa Clara. He was around like Kurt Rambis, a lot of NBA guys growing up in the Houston area. And he just always told me that no matter if you're not playing a lot, playing 40 minutes, you got to treat every practice like it's a game, because you're ultimately preparing yourself for the game. If I'm BSing in practice, that's not going to help me in the game, especially as a rookie. So I feel like my dad really prepared me at a young age to kind of take everything I do serious, because I love playing and I want to play as long as I can, so I want to take it serious every time I step out there on the court.
Did it take a time when you were little for you to not treat a practice like a game for that to happen?
Yeah, I think it was like sometime like playing pickup and I'm out there BS, and he's like, nah, you really want to do this? You got to lock in. You can't be just BSing around with guys that are not on your level. You got to take it serious. And then once it kind of clicked, I think it clicked probably like my sophomore year in college. I was like, oh, this is what I got to do every time if I want to be one of the best players to hopefully ever play. And so I just take that mindset every day.
Does it surprise you at all, the success that, you suddenly guarding Jimmy Butler and doing it at this level right away?
Yeah, I think you just kind of you can't worry about if you get scored on. You can't worry about if you have mistakes. You just got to outwork them. Coach Sampson did a great job with me last year, just telling me that, like, if somebody gets blown by, just out hustle, try to get to the other man, because somebody's going to rotate for you. So I feel like I just try to just go out there, just play extremely hard, and if I make a mistake, I'll get through it. It's not the end of the world. So that's the kind of mentality I take on.
You get up to when you face Leo Mitchell, who's in your draft class, way ahead of you, you're 25th. I mean, and plus he was Final Four too.
Yeah.
I mean, when you see a Mitchell, I mean, does that make you think about the draft and you were picked 25th?
I don't think about it too much, but it's definitely something you're gonna get up a little more for those type of games. Just knowing that we lost to him in the Final Four, he was picked pretty high, like same draft class. So you gonna naturally get up for those games, but it's nothing. Oh, I want to go out there and just, oh, this is super personal. It's just kind of more about I got to get my revenge back a little bit, make sure I get my win because he got his win against me. So now I got my win in the NBA. So we're even now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that right there is Quentin Grimes, and you heard some of the things that he was saying, just about his playing time in the NBA and some of the things that he can and can't do. He also talked about Tom Thibodeau allowing him to make mistakes, right, and keeping him in the game and how it's big for his confidence. And Julius Randle, talking about things that he can do on the floor, and you're starting to see more from Quentin Grimes. He didn't really have a mid-range pull-up. He still doesn't, but you're seeing that he can go to the basket, and as he gets more comfortable, he's doing more things. I think this guy's a mainstay in the rotation. I don't think anyone's taking him out of the rotation. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when Derrick Rose and those guys get back. Josh, your thoughts about Quentin Grimes right now, man, and what's going on and what he's doing?
Sam, I'm a huge fan of this kid. A huge fan. You can see it when he's out there on the floor, the confidence, like his shots go up, no hesitation, and every time he shoots the basketball, it looks like it's going in, right? And we've seen some flashes of him putting the ball on the floor yesterday, which I think is very important for him and his development, right? People say that his ceiling is this, and that because he can't do this, and that. Well, he has the ability to put the ball on the floor a little bit, and we've seen a little bit of that yesterday. But I think the biggest thing in regards to this whole thing, the Knicks are actually running plays for him now when he comes out, right? Him coming off back screens and stuff like that, like stuff that teams run for shooters, right? So I think the team has a lot of confidence in him. The players have a lot of confidence in him. Most importantly, Thibodeau has a lot of confidence in him. And I think this kid is going to be really good for years to come. I'm really high on Quentin Grimes right now.
Yeah. Big Bubba, any thoughts about Quentin Grimes?
Oh, no, same thing, man. I love the way this kid is, man, that he approaches the game. Shout out to his father, man. He raised a great young man. Everything about him is great. You know what I'm saying? Even when we first got him, just looking at his highlights, I think you can see a little bit of Danny Green in him. I really think you can. I think that when he gets into his prime, I think he could be a Danny Green from the Spurs, almost to that level, of hopefully one day. But this kid, man, comes into the game. He knows what he has to do. Plays great defense, fights over screens, shoots threes. There's nothing more that you can't say that's great about him. He's a great kid. I think he has a bright future in this league. And I just want to see him more with RJ, more with all these young guys, man, to see them run plays and switch off defense. And, because I remember when I was watching the Kings game last night, there was a possession when he was in the game. And you just seen when I think they got a 24-second too. I think the Kings, or they shot up a bad shot. You just see everybody was going to their man. If somebody they were just the switching, the quickness. It was all there, and Grimes was a big part of it. So kid has a bright future, man, bright future.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. He has a really bright future, man, Quentin Grimes. He's doing a lot of work. Let me get to a phone call here. I only got a couple minutes left. Let me get to a phone call, and then I want to get back, talk a little bit about RJ, Obi, and then we'll have a final question to end it off. Call you live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Yo, Sim, what's good? It's JJ from Brooklyn. What's going on, bro?
What's happening with you, man? Long time no hear.
What's going on? How are you, bro?
I'm good, man. How you feeling?
Good, man. Good. Actually, yeah, I want to talk about Grimes for a minute. I absolutely love him, man. The thing that I love so much about Grimes is his versatility defensively. He could guard basically 1 through 3, and that's huge for a team that needs wing defense. Mm-hmm. I think that's just critical. And the thing that with RJ, we kind of hoped he would take that step defensively after Bullock left and be this elite defender. And to me, in my opinion at least, that hasn't happened. He has his moments. But to me, Grimes is definitely a better defender. He's more versatile on that end. He could guard more positions. I think RJ's solid, but I think Grimes definitely I think right now he's already probably a better defender than RJ. Like, just the fact that he could guard point guards. Like, tomorrow, I would even debate starting him because Morant, Kemba Walker, really? We're going to start Kemba against Morant? That's going to be a nightmare.
I'm with you on that.
But I love Grimes, man. I love everything about him, honestly.
I'm with you on that 100%. I would consider starting him so he can defend Ja Morant. I don't think Tom Thibodeau's going to do that, but I would definitely consider.
No, I'm not expecting that either. Yeah, but just Grimes, like Isaiah was saying, the way he gets over screens and it's just I love watching. I know they kind of label him 3-and-D, which in my opinion is kind of messed up. I'm not saying 3-and-D is invaluable. There's a lot of great 3-and-D players, but to just label a 21-year-old rookie coming in the league as saying like he's only 3-and-D, which again I don't think is a bad thing, but why kind of you're kind of almost limiting them a little bit. Just saying a rookie, how do you know that's all he can do is just catch and shoot? Like yesterday, you saw some nice. I mean, that move and the finish he had on Halliburton, and he's a good defender. Like that had me really excited. It's like maybe there's more potential than just a catch and shoot guy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying maybe he won't ever be elite, scoring on his own, but I think there's a little something in there. I really do. Like just besides just a catch and shoot guy.
Yeah. Well,
so that definitely, that definitely had me excited.
I think everybody coming into the league, there's always some kind of label.
Right.
You're trying to figure out what they are, right? So it's like, well, this guy can do this guy can do that. I don't think everybody just says this is all he's going to be, but I'll tell you what, you can make a pretty good living being a 3-and-D guy too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
You can make an all-star team being a 3-and-D guy.
Right. Even if that's all he is, I would still be happy. Yeah, definitely. I think at minimum that's what he is. I think there's even more there. I think there's a little bit, I'm not saying like great ball handler, but I think there's a little something there where maybe it could be a little more than just, again, 3-and-D. There's a lot of really, really valuable guys that are 3-and-D.
Yeah.
I think honestly, I know people may think I'm crazy, but right now, I'm not the biggest fan of RJ. I think, honestly, I know I'm probably bugging. It's still early in Grimes' career, but I think, I mean, right now, honestly, I would take Grimes over RJ. I know people might think I'm crazy.
Oh, man. Look at Josh.
I would. What is RJ better at than Quentin Grimes? What? Honestly.
I didn't hear what he said.
I think he's better.
What does RJ do better than Quentin Grimes right now?
I think he's a better overall scorer.
Yeah,
maybe a little better, like creating for himself. But what is RJ elite at? I don't think he does anything that well.
I mean, I don't know.
I think Grimes is a better shooter. I think he's a better defender.
I think he's a better shooter and a better defender. I think RJ's a better facilitator when he needs to be. Finding people, going to the lane. He's able to find Mitch. I think I think he maybe sees the floor better in that way. And an overall scorer, being able to get to the basket and score the basketball at the basket. I think he's an overall better scorer than Quentin Grimes, at least right now.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right. Yeah. Maybe I'm a prisoner of the moment, but I don't know. Like but I don't know. I'm just loving Grimes right now. I hear you.
I
don't know. The RJ thing.
You can love both. You can love both. You can love both.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of not the biggest RJ fan, but that's a story for another day. But honestly, Josh, I just wanted to ask you something real quick, bro.
Yep.
I know you're a big Randall guy, right? My thing is, I've heard you say that like his numbers are similar to last year. They're not. His efficiency is way, way down. He's averaging 6 less points. His field goal percentage is 5% worse, and he's shooting 11% worse from 3. How can you say it's similar to last year? It's not even close.
I said his numbers are similar from last season. The only difference is the efficiency and the shooting. The efficiency and that's the difference.
But how can you say they're similar if his efficiency is way down? 11% worse from 3, and then you're acting like it's
everything
fault.
with the exception of
that
the
he can't
efficiency.
Shoot the 3 anymore? That he's 11% worse from 3 than he was last year? That's not on Mitch. That's on Randall.
No.
It's Mitch's fault that Randall can't finish at the hoop. That's not Mitch's fault.
No, JJ, understand what I'm saying. I agree with you. I'm not blaming Mitch for anything for Randall's transgressions. What I'm saying is the numbers for Randall are similar to last season with the exception of the shooting.
How is it similar? I just told you the stats. They're not even close to being similar,
You're not listening. JJ, listen to me.
What?
With the exception of the efficiency, the shooting. I agree with you. That's not on Mitch. That's on Randall. But I think the issue is when you depend on shooting, like the Knicks are doing right now, anytime the Knicks shoot great, they pretty much are going to score a lot of points. But they don't have nothing to fall back on when they're not shooting great. That's the issue that I'm having. And I'm saying it's on Randall, it's on everybody. I just think the pieces don't fit together. I'm not blaming Mitch for Randall not shooting great. That's not what I'm doing at all. Please don't get me confused with that. That's not what I'm saying at all.
Okay. Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, shooting-wise, I mean, 11%. Well, he was 41% last year. Now he's 30%. That's an astronomical drop.
That's a big drop.
I wasn't expecting him to shoot 41% again, but I was like, I'll live with like 35, 36.
That's what I was going to say. I expected Randall to drop, but I thought he would drop to about 36%.
Right.
Not 30.
And I would have been cool with that, but to drop that much, that's that's huge. One last point really quick before I go, Sim.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is right now with this year, I'm very, very frustrated just because to me, like, I hate being in a position of you're not bad enough to get that, like, top 3, top 4, top 5 pick, and you're not good enough to be, like, a threat. Like, I don't want to be that team that's kind of the 8 seed or fighting for the last play-in. Like, to me, it's like, if we're going to do that, just go full rebuild and just play all young guys and get in better draft position.
I don't
like
there's
that.
caveats.
You know what I'm saying?
But I think there's caveats.
This is just mediocrity to me.
I think there's
caveats.
caveats.
We haven't seen much from a lot of, what good has come out of this year.
Yeah.
Besides Grimes, I don't think there's anything that's great that's happened with any of these players this year.
Okay. Well,
in my opinion.
JJ, here, I'm going to let you go, but I'm going to answer that question, all right?
All right, thanks so much.
All right,
you guys take care, all right?
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
I think there's caveats to that. You know what I'm saying? When you're saying, middle of the pack, this and that, because even if the Knicks right now, well, not even, they are, middle of the pack, a little below middle of the pack, or even if they ended up just being middle of the pack this season, it's not like we have a team full. It's not like, let's say you go back to that 2012 season, right? And, you got a whole bunch of old veterans on the team that are taking up all this roster space and cap space. It's not like that at all right now. Okay? You have some vets on the team. How many guys are over 30 on this team? One? Alec Burks? Taj. Oh, okay. I'm tripping. What am I talking about? Derrick Rose, Taj Gibson, and Alec Burks, and who else?
And Kemba.
Right? None of these guys are on long contracts. And you got a team full of kids. Besides Randall, after that group, right? You got a team full of kids. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's different if this group is in the middle of the pack because you still have places that you can go and ways to maneuver. You know what I mean? And get better. That at least that, in my opinion, you do. I don't know what I was tripping about. Talk about only Alec Burks over 30. I was bugging.
Hey,
where am I?
You made Taj a happy person.
Yeah, right. I was tripping. I was really tripping. Let's talk about Obi.
I wish Taj was 20-something.
Obi Toppin is beginning to gain some confidence in things that you're seeing on the floor. You know what I mean? He had 14 points last night. But regardless of the point output, I'm seeing him put the ball on the floor a little bit more in situations, and I think that's big for Obi Toppin. You know what I mean? He needs to be able to do that. He needs to be able to create a shot every once in a while, and I think you're starting to see more shot creation from Obi. You know what I mean? Whatever's going to happen at the trade deadline, I don't know, but if Obi and Randall are still here together, Obi's ability to knock down the three, which he's been doing, as well as do some shot creation, allows you to play Randall less minutes. You know what I'm saying? Or sometimes play them together if Obi's knocking down that three. And I'm not, because now you got Obi and Randall who are both capable of knocking down the three. Like Obi was shooting 18% from the 3-point line. Right. You know what I'm saying? 18%. If he starts,
and it was bad. So
yeah, but if he starts to knock it down and he gets that thing up to, starting from now. He gets it up and he's shooting 33%. And I'm not talking about his average for the season. I'm just talking about from this point going forward. And he's shooting 33%. That allows you to play him and Randall a little bit more on the floor together and get that spacing that you're talking about for Julius Randle and for Obi to be able to get to the cup.
Sam, I'll take it a step further because people think that I'm just a Randle lover and everything like that. If Obi Toppin can develop a consistent outside shot, I don't really see the need for Randle. Because then you can keep Mitchell Robinson. Now you got a stretch four, right, who can be able to stretch the floor and knock that down and spread the floor out, right? So again, this is not about Randle, himself and me protecting Randle and Mitch's in regards to Randle. This is about the way the pieces fit together. And if Obi Toppin is going to be a threat from the outside, I think that stretches the floor out. It doesn't have to just be Mitch. It could be Obi that's doing it. And if he just, knocks his shot down, because Randall's obviously not doing that right now. So, and I think that's what a lot of fans want to see, right? I mean, it's just that what you said in the beginning, Obi he shoot 18% from three-pointer right now. And I think that's the issue. For me, that's the reason why you can't give Obi Randall minutes. I think that's a big part of it as well, because he's not shooting the ball that great and he can't really create for himself on the same level as Randall. But if he can be able to knock that outside shot down, to me, I think Randall becomes more expendable at that point, and you can be able to move Randall, have the offense run primarily through R.J. Barrett, and have those lanes open up, and we can be able to create something like that.
Currently, Obi Toppin, right now, Obi Toppin over the last 10 games is shooting 41.2% from the three-point line.
That's good. And to piggyback what you're saying, Charles, I do agree with you. I do agree that was a big thing that was stopping Obi from, taking it to the next level. Because again, right, there were moments I would arguably say that he should have got more minutes earlier during the season. But then he had that tough stretch. And then I think what really killed the momentum a little bit was when Randall was out and he got them starter minutes. And let's be honest, he flopped when he started. I mean, he had that game against OKC. He did. He had 19 points. But it just wasn't what we needed to say. For me, if I'm Thibs, it wasn't needed. It wasn't what we needed for him to take it to
make Randall expendable.
And then again, I mean, let's be clear. Even Thibs literally said it where he was like, everybody wants to back up quarterback, and then when to make quarterback. But look, man, I think Obi's in a good stretch right now, shooting 41%. He's in a good rhythm. I think he's got the confidence back again. He lost it midway through the season, getting the confidence there. And then, like you said, once Thibs can get fully more trust in him, then we see a little bit less minutes for Randall. He could play, maybe get that 20 minutes, consistent 20 minutes, and do some things with that, man, because we need it. We do.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Obi Toppin, ladies and gentlemen. I got one more question before we get out of here. All right, one more question. With the Knicks, with the kids surging the way that they are surging, is it time? And before you answer this question, I'm going to get to a couple of super chats, but is it time to really go on and do a full-on youth movement from top to bottom, besides having a couple of veterans there to, provide some tutelage to the kids? Just looking at where we are right now at the trade deadline, and over the the trade deadline is on the 10th. Over the next couple of games, you're going to know exactly where the Knicks are and where they stand, and it's going to help the Leon Rose and those guys to make some decisions at the deadline. But is it time, Josh, to go full-on youth movement and just say, hey, this is what we're doing. We're going to rock with the kids, and wherever we land, instead of having the Fourniers and the Kembas, and some will say even Randall's out there, right? And Alec Burks.
Sam, personally, I mean, I know people are not going to agree with this as usual, but I don't want to do that. I personally don't want to do that because, again, I'm just tired of seeing the Knicks being in a situation where we're lottery bound. And, and what happens is we put these kids out there and we think that just because they're doing good in their limited minutes, that we give them extended minutes by getting rid of a lot of these veterans, and we put that team out there and that team is going to be successful in that immediate time frame, and I just don't think that's the case. Fans have these unrealistic, expectations, and then when they don't succeed, now we want to trade the kids and get rid of everybody, right? So it's just that constant cycle. So for me, I don't want to do that. I would rather have some veterans on this team. You can still develop while having veterans on the team. But I do think if we do move in that direction, we go full-on youth movement, get rid of a majority of these veterans on the team, become one of the youngest teams in the NBA. I think the team, as far as wins and losses, will get worse before it gets better. So okay. I don't know how I answered the question.
Isaiah, before I get to you, I want to ask this question. I want to throw this in there. Is Obi Toppin part of that full-on youth movement? If you went that way, because he's going to be 24 in March, you consider him part of that full-on youth movement still?
Yeah, I do personally.
Okay. All right, just a question. Just want to throw it out there because I don't know where you stop and start that youth movement, at what age you stop.
I'm not going to lie.
That youth
25 is cutoff date.
Okay.
25.
When the insurance goes down.
Yeah, they say that you get off your parents' insurance, You can rent a car.
Trust me, he ain't on his parents' insurance. His parents is on his insurance now.
Yeah, that's a fact. Hey, Sam, before we go, I just want to say great show. We got 530 people, but we have less than 140 likes. Come on, people. Let's get them likes up before we go. Let's get to 300 likes before the end of the show, please. Thank you. Come on now. We got Uncle Fulio. We got Sim. We got me, Big Bubba, the cooker with Chef Zake dude. Come on, let's get it popping. But I will say this, though, Sim. I have to disagree with Jaws. I know everybody. Shocker, right? Look, these kids, man, I think they can do it, man. And I'm going to say that, I have faith in these kids. I got faith that they can do this. These ain't the Fizz kids. These guys I think can have the potential. I think these guys have the potential to actually be great. They can make some noise. And also, man, look, I know people, you're going to have people going to hate me for saying this, but I see around the NBA, man, that these young kids, these young teams, of course you have a few veterans in there, but these young teams are doing it. The Cavs, the Memphis Grizzlies, these are teams proven to people that they can do this.
Okay.
You can be, hold on.
But the thing is, but those teams, the Cavs, they got off to a good start because Ricky Rubio was manning that ship. Now they got Rajon Rondo.
Oh, come on.
You can say, "Oh, come on," all you want. Ricky Rubio was hooping this year. He's a big part of the reason they were doing what they were doing. You gotta have. That's the reason why they went and got Rajon Rondo.
Sim, I'm not discrediting Ricky Rubio. I promise you, I'm not. But come on, Darius Garland, Colin Sexton.
Colin Sexton hasn't been playing. What are you talking about?
But I'm saying, when he was playing, when they have the amazing front court of Jaron Allen and the rookie of the year Evan Mobley.
True.
So
I'm not discounting the youth. What I'm saying is, don't discount what those veterans bring to those teams. No,
I'm not.
Just like Chris Paul did with the Phoenix Suns.
Exactly.
Do not discount what they bring to those teams. You gotta have some smart veterans on your team to help those youth understand how to play, prepare, and be ready night in and night out. You let the young guys do the heavy work. They do the heavy work. You're using the vets for their mind.
No, of course. But I'm saying though, I personally feel like the Knicks can be with the Memphis Grizzlies, the Cavaliers. I believe that if you take certain veterans out, you keep like a guy like D Rose and Taj Gibson, but those kind of guys around the Knicks, those kind of veterans. I think this team
it has to be the right veterans.
I have faith in those guys that they can do it.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think this group, I think we have a great group of young players. I don't see them all of a sudden being the Cavs or the Memphis Grizzlies with this group. I don't. One, you don't have a point guard that's as good as John Morant or Darius Garland, and that means everything. That means everything. Not one point guard on our team, young point guard on our team, can do what those guys do as far as running their team, scoring the basketball, seeing the floor, making other people better. We don't have one on this team that does what those guys do, and that is a big difference, in my opinion. A big difference. There's no about it. That's a big difference. Both of those teams have young point guards. Darius Garland is worthy of making an all-star team. Ja Morant obviously is starting on an all-star team. You know what I'm saying? That's a big difference in the way that your team runs. We've been talking for years about not having a point guard. Those two teams have two point guards that are really, really good.
No, they're
really, really good. You know what I'm saying?
And I do say it is unfortunate because I felt like, you're just being a dead horse, but man, if we just draft right, man, draft certain players, I think things would have been a lot different for the Knicks where we don't have to keep worrying about having to worry about Kimbas and all these other guys. We could have had a young strapping point guard on our team. But, things happen.
I mean, we could have had one without worrying about, even if we did worry about those guys, we could have had one if we would have drafted Tyrese Halliburton, and this team would look totally different. Not hating on Obi or nothing like that. I'm just saying, if that would have happened, this team would look totally different. I can guarantee it.
What about a trade for Colin Sexton?
It is what this team is missing. That guy, I'm telling you, it's missing that guy that can really, just get everyone, melt everyone together. You're missing that guy. I don't know if Colin Sexton was that guy that can melt everyone together.
I think, I honestly though, Sim, I'll be real with you, and I don't know where the Knicks are going to happen this season. I don't know. But I feel like, It's just very soon. But if you get a guy like maybe Ty Washington, or you get a DeJounte Murray, somebody like that on those kind of runs of a point guard, then I think you're going to see a completely different Knicks. I think if you get one of these guys, like I said, you can maybe get Ty in the draft, or if you go trade for DeJounte, something like that,
if you're going
or maybe a Jalen Brunson.
I don't know if does DeJounte Murray count in a youth movement?
Hell yeah, he do. He's 25. He made that.
How old
he got
is
that cutoff
DeJounte Murray?
25.
Okay. Hey, I mean, you said 25 years old is the cutoff. He'll be 26 years old next year.
I'm still good. I still want to
asking the question. I'm just asking the question because I don't know where that cutoff age is when people say, you're in a youth movement or not. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Sam, I just think that this whole thing, a lot of fans think that if you get rid of all the vets, that all of a sudden everything will get better. And I think that, you can still have veterans on the team. You have to have the right veterans. And my big thing with this season is the Knicks don't have the right veterans, the right mix of players, not just the way they play on the floor, but also in the locker room as well. Yeah. And I think that's where it is for me.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what you think. I see, I put a poll in the chat. Is it time for a full-on youth movement? 70% of the people say yes. 30% say no. Me, I mean, I think I actually think we're kind of in the middle of a youth movement. You know what I'm saying? When you look at our roster and how many guys under 25 years old are playing, that's a youth movement. You know what I mean? Now, I do think this. Here's where I do agree with you, Isaiah. If you move a Kemba and a Fournier and maybe even a Burks, and you bring in some young guys to take those guys' spots, you can probably bring in some young guys that are still as productive or more productive. And now you got some young guys, and you stay exactly where you are right now. Yeah, I do believe you can do that.
And like I said, Sam, I think again, right. We don't know what this season's going to be. We really don't know. Hopefully, it could be us in the playoffs. I would prefer us to be in the playoffs. But again, I think the Knicks are it's a weird way to say that we are in a good position because again, right? You could go trade. You could maybe hopefully trade some of these guys to go get your point guard, or in this draft if you fall. But right now we in a position. I think we're like 10th in the lottery or something like that. You can have opportunity to get one of these guys maybe from the G League team, or like I said, I prefer me personally. I like a Ty Washington, but we'll see. And that's all the way in March. We got a kid. Yeah. Hopefully, we're not worried about that in March already. We'll
see. Big shout out to Johnny P. Thank you for the super chat. He said, "I don't know how the Knicks can sell Burks, Kemba, and Fournier, but they have to roll with the kids, and Tibbs has to find time for Deuce. We have a point guard. Listen, I'm not discounting anything about Deuce, but if I'm talking about being on the level of Darius Garland and John Morant, he's not that kind of a point guard. In 1975, Jamrock, going back to Mitch, he said, Mitch ain't the problem. Randall is not being able to consistently hit outside shots versus last year. Also, Randall struggles to finish over athletic bigs. He does. That's very true. But listen, I got to get out of here, get to practice. I want to apologize to everybody who I didn't get to their phone calls. I see I got people calling in. I want to apologize to you for that. I want to jump on and get this quick show out. We had some topics we wanted to hit. Hopefully I'll get to your call later, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, I'm up out of here. Be peaceful, spread love, and I'll catch you next time. We out.
This is NBK. Nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Nick.